Lust is not just about desire. Lust is hunger without discipline. It is the fire in a man's chest that either burns his kingdom to ashes or forges an empire from his bones. Most men are ruled by it. Few ever rise above it, and fewer still understand it. But if you do not master lust, lust will master you. It will speak through your decisions. It will cloud your judgment. It will whisper to you in moments of weakness and scream in the silence of your ambitions. And in the end, it will strip you of your power and leave you crawling among the average. Freud called it the libido, the core of the human drive. Jung called it the shadow, the primal part of ourselves we pretend doesn't exist. And Nietzsche called for a man beyond man, someone who transcends instinct to create new values. They were all pointing to the same truth. Your sexual energy is your greatest weapon or your deepest curse. If left unchecked, it will sabotage your focus, drain your energy, and destroy your destiny. But if you learn to channel it, if you learn to transmute it, you will awaken a force inside you so powerful, so relentless, that nothing in this world can touch you. The ancient mystics knew this long before modern psychology caught up. In tantric teachings, sexual energy is not to be wasted in pleasure or repressed in shame. It is to be redirected. It is the raw fuel of creation. The same force that gives life can also build legacies. But here's the secret. They don't teach in school. Most men spill their power every day. Not in the battlefield, not in the boardroom, but alone in the dark, trapped in fantasies, giving away their empire for a moment of pleasure. A man who can't say no to his impulses is already defeated. A man who can't delay gratification will never build greatness. Self-mastery begins in the mind, but it is proven in the body. Your biology wants to consume, to chase, to indulge. But your spirit, your higher self, it wants to build, to create, to conquer. And between those two forces is the battlefield. Every time you choose discipline over indulgence, you win. Every time you choose clarity over temptation, you sharpen the sword. The real kings are not the loudest. They are the most controlled. The ones who have mastered the storm within, who carry the fire but do not let it consume them. You can read every success book in the world. You can quote Napoleon Hill, worship the mindset of Musk or Jobs. But if you cannot conquer your own lust, you will always be weak. Because this is not about morality. It's about control. It's about energy. Every man has a limited supply of life force. When you scatter it, you become scattered. When you preserve it, you become magnetic. Charisma isn't given. It's earned through retention of energy. Women can feel it. Men respect it. The world responds to it. Because when you walk in the power of control, you command more than attention. You command reality. The elite know this. The billionaires, the warriors, the strategists. They are not saints. They are masters of energy. They have learned how to sublimate. Freud said sublimation is the redirection of primal desire into higher aims. Take the hunger for lust and build a company. Take the need to chase and craft a vision. Take the urge to dominate and lead a revolution. Most men waste it. Great men weaponize it. If you're still distracted by pixels on a screen, if your dopamine is hijacked by synthetic stimulation, you are not free. You are programmed. And you are exactly where the system wants you: weak, drained, addicted, compliant. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. It is the power to say no to what destroys you. Power is not given to the man who wants more. It is given to the man who needs less. If you can walk through temptation without kneeling to it, you are dangerous. If you can feel the fire and not be burned, you are untouchable. That is the difference between a boy and a king. A boy follows his feelings. A king commands them. A boy chases lust. A king transmutes it into glory. Most men never cross that threshold. They live in the prison of their desires, never knowing that the key was in their hands the entire time. You don't rise by accident. You rise by strategy. Every decision you make either strengthens your discipline or feeds your destruction. It's in your morning routine. It's in what you consume online. It's in how you speak, how you walk, how you think when no one is watching. If you cannot control your inner world, the outer world will control you. The marketplace rewards focus. The battlefield rewards clarity. The throne rewards discipline. Lust is the greatest test. It comes dressed in pleasure, but its goal is to devour your potential. You cannot afford to negotiate with it. You cannot rationalize it. You must look it in the eye and say, "Not today, not ever." Because every time you fall into lust, you become a little more forgettable, a little more ordinary. But every time you resist it, you carve a new identity. You become sharper, more rare, more feared. Power belongs to the man who walks through the valley of desire and chooses purpose instead. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You were not born to be a slave to your instincts. You were born to become a master of reality. The fire in your blood is not the enemy. It is the beginning. What matters is what you do with it. Will you waste it in secret, or will you forge it into legacy, because lust is the beginning of many empires and the destruction of even more. History is filled with men who had brilliance, wealth, armies, but lost everything to a single moment of weakness. It only takes one slip, one lie, one addiction you pretend doesn't control you. If you want power, you must live like it, think like it, train like it, walk like it, not in arrogance, but in full control of the beast within. You want success? Start with your biology. You want to build something great? Master your chemistry, because the man who can conquer his lust can conquer anything, and the man who cannot, no matter how smart, how skilled, how ambitious, is already conquered. There is no throne for the undisciplined, no empire for the addicted, no legacy for the lustful, only broken potential, wasted years, and a quiet death behind the mask of pleasure. Then listen closely, because this is where transformation begins. No one teaches you how much power you lose every time you chase what feels good instead of what is right. The world is designed to distract you, to addict you, to weaken you with pleasures that feel harmless until they devour your soul. The average man thinks lust is just about sex, but it's not. It's about domination. It's about losing control. It's about handing over the steering wheel of your life to your cravings. Every empire has fallen the same way, not from outside attack, but from the corruption of the inner world. And lust is the most silent, most seductive form of internal collapse. You think it's just a moment, a night, a click, a fantasy. But behind every act of unconscious lust is a withdrawal from your personal bank of strength, focus, and leadership. The momentary high costs you days of motivation, clarity, and energy. It kills your drive, dulls your ambition, softens your hunger. Lust doesn't just take your body, it takes your edge. And in a world of killers, wolves, and kings, You cannot afford to lose your edge. Not for anyone. Not for anything. Not even for yourself. That's why true warriors don't run from lust. They face it, study it, and break it. They understand the beast so deeply that it can no longer surprise them. They know its voice. They know its tricks. They know that when it whispers, it's not offering love. It's offering chains. And they do not take the bait. Because a man who is free from lust is terrifying. His energy is unmatched. His mind is crystal sharp. His path is unshakable. Because every step he takes is chosen not driven by compulsion, but guided by vision. Every moment you resist the impulse, you rise in power. You elevate your consciousness. You ascend from boyhood to mastery. And with each victory, you reclaim a piece of yourself the world tried to steal. Do not underestimate the value of one moment of control. That moment becomes your standard, and your standard becomes your identity. And identity is destiny. This is not a game. This is a war. And the battlefield is your mind, your urges, your late-night silence, your browser history, your choice between purpose and pleasure. Let's get brutally honest. Most men are spiritually castrated by the very desires they refuse to confront. They think they're free, but they're puppets. Puppets pulled by strings they can't see. They wake up drained, distracted, docile. Because their energy is not being stored. It's not being focused. It's being thrown to the wind, to digital sirens and empty cravings. But you don't have to be like them. You were built for something higher, and it starts with your ability to hold your power, to let the fire rise and not spill it. That's how you forge something eternal. What if you stopped running from the tension and learned to ride it? What if you turned every pulse of desire into fuel for your mission? This is the ancient art of transmutation, sublimation, the alchemy of the self. Freud introduced it, Jung expanded it, Tantra practiced it, and the greatest men of every era embodied it. They took the same energy that others waste, and they turned it into magnetism, creativity, dominance. You've seen it. The way a man walks when he owns himself. The weight of presence he carries when he's not chasing anyone because he's already full. That is not charisma. That is retained power. You cannot fake this. You cannot buy it. You must earn it. In silence. In self-denial. In the fire of your cravings. And when you rise above it, something changes. People look at you differently. Opportunities find you. You become a beacon of rare energy in a world addicted to pleasure. You don't chase, you attract. Not by doing more, but by becoming more. That is the essence of true power. Not control over others, but command over yourself. You want to be unshakable? Then stop being a slave to the very thing that has destroyed kings, presidents, and prophets. Study their downfalls. See the pattern. It always starts with desire. Not love, not purpose. Desire. And when that desire is left unmastered, it eats everything. It starts with a glance, a flirtation, a compromise. And then the mission is gone. The clarity is gone. The name is forgotten. Don't let that be you. You weren't born to be forgotten. You were born to be forged, not in comfort, but in fire. You want real confidence? Then deny yourself the easy path. Confidence is not built in comfort. It is built in control. Every time you say no to lust, you say yes to your future. You say yes to strength. You say yes to legacy. It won't be easy, but ease is not the point. Growth is. Transcendence is. And you cannot transcend what you refuse to face. So stare it down, not with fear, but with authority. Because lust does not control the man who knows who he is. Do you? Because until you do, lust will play with you like a toy. It will dance in front of your dreams. It will whisper lies to you in the dark, and it will smile as it robs you of greatness. But when you know who you are truly, deeply, powerfully, you become untouchable. Because the man who controls his lust controls his life. And the man who controls his life rewrites history. Then let's finish this journey with the fire it demands. Because if you've come this far, you're not like the rest. You're not here to be entertained. You're here to evolve. The truth is, the man who controls his lust doesn't just become powerful, he becomes dangerous. Not because he seeks to destroy, but because he cannot be destroyed. His energy is consolidated, his will is sovereign, his actions are deliberate. He no longer leaks power into the world hoping for validation, hoping for escape, hoping for something to fill the void. He becomes the source, the provider of value, vision, and velocity. And the world bows to that kind of man. Every great leader who built something that stood the test of time had one thing in common. They mastered themselves before they tried to master the world. Alexander, Marcus Aurelius, Napoleon, Tesla. They had their flaws, yes. But what separated them wasn't perfection. It was direction, focus, control. They were obsessed with something bigger than themselves. They learned to ride the beast instead of being devoured by it. They knew that energy was the ultimate currency, and you cannot have energy if you keep spending it on fleeting pleasure. So ask yourself this: how much are you leaking every day? In meaningless conversations, in empty scrolling, in uncontrolled urges, in chasing what will never fulfill you. Every drop of attention you waste is power that could have built your future. Every time you obey lust, you disobey destiny. But every time you resist, you rise. Every time you choose vision over vice, you gain clarity. Every time you feel the urge but don't act on it, you sharpen the blade. And a sharp man cuts through life with precision. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. It's about freeing yourself from the tyranny of impulse so that your mind is no longer a battlefield, but a kingdom. That is the difference between the mediocre and the magnificent. One reacts, the other rules. One is seduced by every distraction. The other seduces reality itself. And if you want to become that man, it begins now, not tomorrow, not next month. Now, with the decision to turn your lust into discipline, your urges into actions, your cravings into conquest. You'll be tempted. That's a guarantee. You'll want to give in. You'll tell yourself it's harmless. You'll rationalize it, justify it, pretend it's no big deal. But deep down, you'll know. You'll feel the weakness creeping in. You'll feel your edge fading. You'll feel your purpose slipping into the background. And if you're honest, painfully honest, you'll see it for what it is. A test. A test of your future. A test of your fire. A test of your sovereignty. And every time you pass it, you rise. There is no shortcut, no hack, no dopamine detox that substitutes for the real thing. Only the hard path, the path of ownership, the path of transmutation, the path where your desire is not your master but your servant. That's what makes you rare. Not because you're perfect, but because you're powerful enough to dominate your imperfection. You walk through the same fires as other men, but you come out clean. Not because you didn't feel the heat, but because you refused to bow to it. Lust will keep showing up. It will wear new faces, speak with new voices. But once you've seen it for what it truly is, the gatekeeper between you and your greatness, you stop fearing it. You respect it. You use it. You ride it. And you build from it. That's the secret the modern world doesn't want you to know. Because a man who masters his lust doesn't need escape. He doesn't need sedation. He doesn't need constant pleasure. He is the pleasure. He is the power. He is the storm. You can become that man. Not someday, but now. It begins the moment you stop cheating on your future with your fantasies. It begins when you realize that the strongest version of you is already waiting, just on the other side of one more act of control. This is your edge. This is your empire. And it all starts with one truth. If you don't control lust, you don't deserve power. Because power isn't given, it's claimed, it's earned, and it only answers to the man who dares to master himself.